Your wedding day is the most photographed day of your life, and you deserve to look and feel like the most elevated version of yourself. Hi, I'm Jeannie, and not only am I a newlywed myself, but I have also worked with hundreds of brides throughout my career. In today's video, I'm sharing everything that I know about creating the perfect bridal makeup look, including some of my secrets to long-lasting glam. So whether you're doing your own makeup, working with a pro, or you just want to feel confident walking down the aisle, keep watching. I did a whole video about the skin prep that I recommend and also did on myself for my wedding last year. I will link that above. It covers everything that I did to get that wedding glow, so check it out. Now, as far as skin prep the day of, I have said before that I would not recommend doing anything radical or anything that's too aggressive as far as exfoliating the day of or even the week of your wedding. However, there is a product I do recommend. It's made for sensitive skin and it's lightly exfoliating. It is the Facial Radiance Pads from First Aid Beauty. These are super gentle, but they're also great at exfoliating, great for prepping the skin for whatever you're going to put on top of it. I don't react to these. I use these on my brides as well right before application. And as long as you give enough time between applying these and putting the rest of your skincare on, you should be good. You really only need a few minutes. And these are great because they do lend radiance to the skin. They have a little bit of lactic acid in here. There's some lemon peel in here. But like I said, they're gentle enough to use on even the most sensitive skin. Just go all around the face. My neck is actually a little bit more sensitive than my face is, so I'm going to avoid my neck with this. I tend to avoid my neck with any kind of chemical exfoliation. I had a reaction on my neck last year of eczema, and ever since then I avoid that area. And this, it doesn't even tingle. It's more refreshing than anything. And trust me, the day of, you sitting in the makeup chair is the only time you will get to yourself. So I always tell my brides whenever they're sitting in my chair, you can sit here, you can be absolutely quiet, you can take the time for yourself. I've had some brides put some AirPods in, listen to a podcast, listen to music. Because we've already done the trial, I know what the makeup is going to look like. She trusts me and she can take that time to have a moment to herself. It's gonna go under the jaw, right here. Second step, eye drops, Lumify eye drops. These are whitening eye drops. They're really great. They last about 8 hours, so they'll last long enough for you to get through pictures. Highly recommend to do these before skincare. I just prefer that because then if there's any kind of moisture around the eye, I can get rid of it and then I can make sure the skin is completely fresh before I go in with my additional skincare. All right, one eye. See, no matter what, I always get moisture around my eyes. I tend to flood the eye with the eye drops. I don't really do 1 or 2 drops. I just like to make sure that the eyes are nice and lubricated. Prep the lips. This is the Laneige Sleeping Mask. This is my personal one, which is why I'm using my finger. I have one in my kit. I love it. There's nothing like this lip balm. It is just the best. I've had others in my kit, and I always go back to this because I love it, and my clients love it too. And it preps the lips really nicely. Now, before I do any skincare, I have to do my brows. I like a specifically shaped brow, and the one way to achieve that for me personally is to make sure that I have no product on my face. I can't have any skincare, any oils, or anything like that. So then I can place the brow where I want it, set the brow, and then continue on with the makeup. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take the NYX Brow Glue. Love this stuff. If you watched my channel before, you know I use this a million times. Just brushing the brows up. They don't quite look as good as they did when I got married. I've been a little lax on the maintenance, but basically going for the same kind of idea. And I'm going to take the end of a brush and place them where I want them. I did not do my makeup on my wedding day. My very good friend Satya did my makeup on my wedding day, but I did my brows and she was cool with it, which is great. She knows that I love a very specific shape and that I love to do them and make them kind of my own. So I was able to have a Satya face that she did such a beautiful job with. I absolutely loved my makeup on my wedding day. I felt so beautiful with the dress and the hair and the makeup and everything. It was just perfect. So I'm not saying you have to do your brows like this if you are doing your own makeup. A lot of times if you are getting it done, your pro will know. They'll know what shape is best for your face. But I've also had brides who have done their own brows. Place that down again. My brows are dry, so I'm just going to fill them in a little bit. This is the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen in the shade Ash Brown. This is my tried and true favorite. I've been using this for a few years now, and I haven't found anything that I love more than this. I do have a few in my kit that I reach for. I have a variety of pencils and pens, but I usually always reach for this because it never fails me. Ash Brown and Espresso, if you have a little bit of a darker brow, are perfect. I'm gonna lightly fill in, adding to the shape. And I know that some people prefer pencils to fill in their brows. Some people prefer powder. It's all personal. This is what I prefer. I love a feathery brow. This is usually what I do on my clients as well, on my brides. I really love how it gives the brow definition, but it doesn't weigh it down or make it heavy. Because when you're thinking about bridal makeup, you want everything to be really balanced. We're going to be putting on quite a bit of makeup today. As I said, it is the most photographed day of your life, but we're going to be working in very light layers. That's the key. It's the key to longevity, and it's also the key to it looking really flawless, both on camera and in real life. Okay, other brow. This is my trouble brow. There's always one that has a perfect shape, and the other one that's like the redheaded stepchild. Always has a wonky shape, or it's uneven, or it grows weird. That's this one on this side. I can't ever get it to look the way that I want it to. So a lot of times I just have to walk away. It's got to walk away and let it be. And then I also have to remember, I've said this before, sisters, not twins. Sisters, not twins. They actually don't look that bad today. They kind of worked out, which is great. Got a little bit of a hole right here. And then there we go. One more step before we actually start with skin prep, I promise. Full disclosure, there's going to be a lot of steps in this tutorial, but there's a reason why bridal makeup artists get paid so much. It's because there are so many steps. It's a lot of product, also knowing what's going to photograph well and look beautiful. One of the keys to longevity in your makeup, in your bridal makeup, that I have found that really works is using setting spray before you do any of your skin prep or any of your makeup. I have the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is a tiny one. It's from my kit. It's just easier to carry. And now that my brows are done, I'm going to use this setting spray to set them. And then what that does, it creates a very thin layer over my skin that will help with oil production and longevity throughout the day. It's like an insurance policy. It helps to keep oil at bay and it helps your makeup to last longer. And apply a couple of sprays pretty liberally, but not too much. Just a very light mist across the face. And now we're going to go into skincare. When I think about skincare for the wedding day, I definitely want to use products that are going to help hydrate, help the skin look as luminous and gorgeous as possible. I don't want to use this as an opportunity to be layering all my products, honey. Okay, we're not doing vitamin C and hydrating serum and moisturizer and SPF and eye cream and primer and all that stuff. We're just not doing that. Today is not the day. So you want to think about using products that you can make work for you, in the sense of if you're using a serum, making sure that it's a hydrating serum. Or if you're on the more oily side, you want to make sure you're using something that's going to help keep oil at bay or even help mattify the skin. Today is not the day to be introducing new skincare. And that's another reason why I always urge my brides to do trials. You have to see how the skincare is going to lay. You got to see how the makeup is going to lay. You don't want to be introducing anything new the day of your wedding. That being said, I'm going to use one of my tried and true combinations that I love to use on my brides. The serum is actually a new introduction because it was just sent to me a few weeks ago, but I've put it into rotation and I've been loving the results. I have the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. I love this serum. It really does add a beautiful glow. I'm just gonna use maybe 3 pumps and we're just gonna rub it all over the face, avoiding the brows. The thing I love about this, it's very thin. It's so thin, but it's also super hydrating. It's not oily, it doesn't leave a residue, it soaks in, but it just gives your skin that drink of water, so to speak. Hydrated skin and glowing skin, they're one and the same, so that's exactly what we want to do. But we also want to make sure that we're not overloading product or even maybe creating more oil than we need. That's a big no-no. And I'll be honest, I don't usually like using serums when I'm working with clients because in my opinion, all it does is add an extra layer onto the skin. And a lot of times that becomes an issue when I'm putting foundation onto the skin. Sometimes they don't mix and then you have an even bigger problem on your hands. This is the Dragon's Blood Sculpting Gel from L'Oreal Beauty. I was only recently introduced to it a few weeks ago, but I've been using it ever since, and I wish I had this in my kit for my wedding. It's smoothing and plumping. All you need is a single pump, like that. It's also very lightweight, nice and cooling to the skin, and it just preps the face so beautifully. I'm gonna take it up the neck, behind the ears. One more thing I want to say is when you're prepping your skin, especially with moisturizer, try to wait before you apply your face makeup. So we're going to do eyes first, and by the time we finish the eyes, the skin will be nice and prepped. The moisturizer and the serum will have soaked in, and it's going to be ready for the foundation and everything else we're going to put on top of it. That's another key to longevity, is making sure your skincare is fully absorbed. Okay, I have another confession to make. I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with eye creams when it comes to using them with makeup. I love using an eye cream in the evening, do not get me wrong. But when it comes to using eye cream with makeup, you really have to find the right one that works underneath makeup. A lot of them are too emollient, they're too oily, they're too slippery, and the makeup will just slide off and you won't get the finish that you're looking for. One way I have found that really counteracts this are eye masks. And I will tell you a couple of reasons why. First of all, when you put an eye mask on, it feels like you're at the spa, right? So whenever I have a bride in my chair, I put these on her, she immediately relaxes. So I would highly urge for you to get yourself some eye masks. You don't have to get these. These are from Jillian Dempsey. These are pretty much my absolute favorite ones because they're so big, they cover so much real estate under the eye. So if you're puffy, if you're jet lagged, if you're exhausted, which trust me, you're going to be the day of your wedding because you've been planning for months and months and it's just absolute chaos up until that point, usually. So it feels really great. Feels like you're having a little bit of a spa moment. And because we're starting with the eyes first, it catches any fallout from any of the eyeshadow that you're going to be using. So it's like a 3-in-1. Another reason why I love these so much, where you put them, they're gonna stay. They don't slide all over your face. You know, like how they'll be down on your cheek and you have to keep pushing them back up because they're just so gummy and slippery. Nope, these do not budge. This is gonna take care of any skin prep that I'm gonna need underneath my eyes. Because I will say, if you use too much eye cream, your concealer is not gonna stay on your face. It doesn't matter how much you powder it, there's gonna be way too much product between your skin and the makeup, and it's gonna slide all over the place and become a complete mess. Moving on to eyes, I just want to prep the eyelid area. I don't really love eyeshadow primers. A lot of times they have a little bit too much grip, and even if you set them with a loose powder, sometimes you can get a little bit of patchiness on the eyelid. I prefer to use concealers, and I'm just going to use my favorite concealer. This is the Tower 28 concealer in the shade EP. Probably going to use this under my eyes as well with a couple of other products that I'll get to. This is my personal concealer, so I'm just going to take a little bit like that. We're going to do one eye at a time, and I'm going to take Smith 232 brush and just buff that out all the way up to the brow, just like that. I might have to use the handheld mirror. Sorry, I am blind. And then before I look up, because I don't want to crease any of the concealer, I'm going to take this Kosas pressed powder on the same brush. I'm just going to set that concealer. If I open my eye, it's going to start creasing and I don't want to set those creases. Same thing on the other eye, just taking a little bit. When it comes to eye looks for bridal, you want the eye to be more defined than anything. In my opinion, it's not really time for a cut crease or anything that's super heavy or super smoky. Unless that's your jam, then by all means, you do you. I prefer to do an eye that's a little sculpted and defined, a little bit of shimmer, but I also have a naturally contoured eye because I have deep set eyes. So a lot of the work is kind of already done for me. And I've found that with a lot of clients who have deep set eyes or hooded eyes, it's kind of the same idea. So I tend to sort of think of it in the sense of how do I define the eye and make it pop? I'm taking the same 232 brush that I just used. This is the Tartelette in Bloom palette. I love this palette. It's perfect for bridal or everyday use. It has a variety of both matte and shimmer shades. So I want to take these two colors right here. This is Jet Setter and Smarty Pants. We're going to load up the brush, tap it off, and then I'm just going to, here, I'm going to do this. Let's turn this way. And just sculpt that outer corner. And the nice thing about having the eye mask is that it kind of gives you a guideline. We're just kind of taking and shaping the outer corner of the eye like that. Same thing on the other side. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating a V with the shadow. These are matte shadows, by the way. Very similar to like contour shades. It's those soft browns. And because I have such a prominent brow bone, I'm creating a shape and a shadow on the outer corner just to give me a more elongated effect and to create a shape on my brow, essentially. I know this might be a little bit of an elevated concept to a lot of you, but trust me, once you start doing this with your eyeshadow, you're not going to be able to go back. Because when you step back from the mirror and you see how it contours your eye in such a simple way, for pictures, it's perfection. And now we're going into the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. Love this palette. I'm going to take this color right here. It's kind of like a cool pink. And I'm just going to run it over what we did with the first color, and it's just going to kind of warm it up a little bit. Give it a little bit of dimension. This is really easy. I know it seems like it might be a lot of steps, but it's just all about layering, lightly layering your products. I'm going to take a blending brush. This is a MAC 224. It's clean, and I just want to make sure there's no harsh lines. That's what elevates your makeup. Blending, making sure everything is seamless and blended, whether it's your foundation, whether it's your cheek, whether it's your eyeshadow, it doesn't matter. This is Teddy from MAC. It's an eyeliner. It's like a shimmery brown, and I just want to take it on the outer third of my eye. You don't have to be too precious about it. Just like that. And then I'm going to take a smudgy brush just like this and just kind of work up and into the outer corner. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go over it with shadow. And then I'm taking the Smith Cosmetics 233 brush into this shimmery brown eyeshadow. We're just going to go right over that and soften it. Taking our blending brush once again, so you have something that looks a little bit like this. Taking Teddy on the other side, working it kind of down towards the lash line and then in. We want it to create a shadow, but we also want it to be really diffused. And then taking that shadow again. I want to go back in just to do a little bit of maintenance. We're going to take these two colors here on a blending brush. Just soften everything. We're almost done. We're going back into the Tarte palette. I just want to take this color here. It's called Funny Girl on a flat shader brush. This is from Ilia. And I'm going to go all over the lid. I'm going to take this Victoria Beckham pencil. It's in the shade Cocoa. It's a brown. I tend to really love brown as opposed to black when it comes to bridal makeup. I just think it's a little bit softer and it still does the job as far as defining the eye and doing everything that you need it to do. I'm going to take the Smith Cosmetics brush. I don't even know what number it is because it's worn off. I'm going to push it into the lash line. And then I'm going to take this Smith Cosmetics 304 brush. It's actually a lip brush, and I'm going to lightly soften that line just a little. And then I'm going to buff it up on the end and smudge it, because the way my eye is shaped, if I take an eyeliner and I go all the way to the end of my eye, it's going to round out my eye and close it off. And what I'm trying to do is extend the eye, make it a little bit more feline and a little bit more elongated. So with the lashes, this will make sense. The best thing about this liner is that once it dries, it sets. So we're smudging up that corner. And then for a little extra pop, I'm going to take this glazed liquid eyeshadow from Urban Decay. This is in the shade Sugar Twist. These are amazing. Have some on the back of my hand. I'm going to take it on the Ilia brush and tap it all over. And then for a little extra pop, I'm taking this shimmery shadow from the Ethereal Eyes palette and tapping it all over the lid. No bridal look would be complete without some lashes. I'm going to use these Falscara ones. I'm going to apply them underneath. I recently did a tutorial about these. I will link that below. But I want to put a few of these on for you just to show you how this whole eye look is going to come together. These are the Bambi Wisps. They are the multi-pack. You probably can't really tell on camera, but they're a mixture of both brown and black. I love these for bridal because, like I said, I feel like brown is a little bit softer. So with the brown and the black, you're going to get a lot of that definition, but they're a little more fluttery and a little bit softer. You have 3 different lengths. You've got the small, the medium, and the longs. I don't really use the longs because they're very long. They're very dramatic. So I'm going to use a few mediums and a couple of smalls, and we're just gonna place them underneath my natural lashes. Okay, my lashes are done. As you can see, they're so pretty. I'm just gonna take a little bit of the Tower 28 Drift Mascara. This is the dark brown. And I just wanna wiggle it. This is a tubing mascara, so it should be good as far as being waterproof. We're gonna use this on the lower lash line as well, but I just wanted to add that little extra oomph. I'm taking a little bit of Bioderma on a face pad, and I just wanna go underneath and make sure that I've got everything that didn't get caught by the masks. So I don't really use primers, but I really love this product, so I'm going to use it today. It is the Soft Focus Glow Drops from Rodial Beauty. These are technically priming drops. You can use them before makeup, and they just add an extra glow to the skin, and they also prep the skin for whatever makeup you're going to put on top of it. In my opinion, they're not really a traditional primer, but this product will make your skin so luminous. So you want to give it a good shake, take it out, and then it says to use 2 drops. So 1, 2, I guess that's pretty good right there. It's gonna go over the whole face, and you can see that it instantly gives me this beautiful glow, but it sinks in really quickly. It doesn't sit on top of the skin. Now, as far as foundation, I hardly ever use just one foundation if I'm doing a bride or if I'm doing any of my clients. Traditionally, what I usually do is I'll take a more glowy, thinner foundation like this Dior Face and Body, and I will mix it with something a little bit heavier like this RMS foundation. Even if I'm using the same brand of foundation, I always mix because rarely is anyone just one shade. Now, I thought about doing that for this tutorial, but then I thought about it being easier for you all as far as products that you can use. So today we're just gonna stick with one of my tried and true favorites, the Dior Face and Body Foundation. And what I can do, because this is more of a sheer formula, I can build it up with concealer and other products. Now, one of my other tricks is using what we pros like to call a mixing medium in our foundation. I have this one from Cosette Beauty. It's the Matrix Mixing Liquid. It is a vegan formula. Rocky Cosette is a pro makeup artist. He has his own line. It's vegan and cruelty-free. It's some of the best products I've ever used. I also have a ton of his brushes in my kit, and I use them to this day. I was introduced to this last year because I was doing makeup for Fox Sports, and I was noticing that every time I was applying her foundation, it was breaking down and she was getting really oily in her T-zone. And my other friend recommended this. She said just put a couple of drops into the foundation, mix it in, and it will give you so much more longevity. And wow, was she right. So I'm going to take the Dior Face and Body. This is in the shade 2N. I'm going to put it on the back of my hand just because I'm working on myself. And then I'm going to take the mixing medium. I'm just going to take 1, 2, let's do 3 drops, and I'm going to mix that in, and I'm going to take my favorite brush. It's my IT Cosmetics brush. I'm going to dampen it with this Dragon's Blood Hyaluronic Acid spray it a few times, and working with a damp foundation brush is going to help with sheerness as well. So we're just going to tap it into the product and just start buffing lightly into the skin. I love this foundation. It's one of my tried and trues. It's just so beautiful. It gives you that glow, but with light to medium coverage. It's definitely a favorite amongst bridal artists and makeup artists as well. I just want to do a light buff all over the face. And what the mixing medium does is it almost dries it down. So then you don't get a lot of slip that you would normally get with a foundation like this one, where it's a little bit thinner, a little more water-based. The mixing medium just sets it onto the skin. I'm going down the neck. Just gonna press it in with a dry powder puff just to grab any extra product that might be on my face, and also to help whatever foundation is on my face really sink into the skin. I want to sculpt the face just a little bit before we do bronzer and cheek and all that. I've got a little bit of sculpt tape here. This is from Tarte. This is in the shade Light Cool Bronze. When thinking about sculpting the face, I could place it up here, but that's where my bronzer is going to go. So I'm just going to go a little bit underneath. And I'm going to take my Delium brush. It's like a kitten's paw, and just blend that out. Just like that. We're working in stages because I want to show you exactly how I do it. Now we're going to go up to the temple right here. And we're going to take the tip of the brush right here and pull it You see how that created that little shadow right there? Like I said, we're just creating shapes right now. I'm gonna take it up here, working it into the hairline, and then we're gonna do it right on the jaw. Bring it down. And one thing I like to do with the angle part of the brush is I'll flip it so it hugs the cheek and then kind of push up. And what this does is that it extends the shadow that we already have on the eye and makes it cohesive. Now that we've sculpted the face, I want to go in with a little bit of bronzer. This is the Makeup by Mario Bronzing and Sculpting Serum. The thing I love about this is that it's very forgiving, it's easy to use, and it gives you that beautiful bronzy glow. I'm just going to take 2 pumps on the back of my hand. This is in the shade medium. I'm going to go back in with the kitten paw brush. I'm going to tap it in the back of my hand, really work it in the bristles, and then just going to go in. And then I'm going to take my foundation brush and blend that out. You see how it just gives like that hint of warmth? It's so beautiful. And then go over the contour on the forehead. Make sure we buff that out really well, just so there isn't any harsh lines. And then just gonna take it down the neck. I'm sure you can also tell that we're doing a lot of layering. That's also because of longevity and because we want this to last all day and all night. Plus, that's what photographs best. I promise if you do light layers of products and you blend everything together, your look will be absolutely seamless and gorgeous. For blush, I'm gonna go in with a cream blush first. This is Hope from Rare Beauty. It's just this beautiful kind of warm pink. I'm just gonna take a little bit on the back of my hand. A little goes a long way if you've ever used this product. And then I'm going to take the tapered cheek brush from Real Techniques and work it like we did with the cream bronzer. Work it into the brush so it's really worked into the bristles. And then we're going to tap all over the cheek. I like to place it high up on the cheekbone. That's just personal preference. And then once again, taking my foundation brush, buffing out the edges. Same thing on the other side. Just hugging that cheekbone, working up, not bringing it any farther in than right here. I want to keep it right to like the outer third of the eye. Like I said, that's personal preference because of the shape of my face. Someone who has more of an apple-shaped cheek, I would definitely embrace that shape and just make that area pop. Now we're going to go back to concealer, and we're going to go back to the Tower 28 concealer. And I'm going to grab this Thrive Cosmetics brush. It's synthetic, but it's more of like a blending brush. This is going to give me more control over where I'm placing the concealer. Also kind of loading up the brush. If you load up the brush evenly, you won't get any uneven deposits of product on your face. So I'm just going to take and then extend that concealer almost like a highlighter all the way up. And then we're going to push up into the brow. And then I like to bring it down the side of the nose and kind of feather it into the cheek where we've applied the bronzer and the contour. And because we use those eye masks, my eye area is perfectly prepped for this concealer. There's no sliding, there's no pilling, nothing. Most photographed day of our life, right? Do you see that? I haven't even set my under eye and it looks airbrushed. Even with my naked eye, I am like, I don't think I've ever seen my under eye this smooth. Another thing I recommend, I say this in all of my tutorials, make sure you have a mirror kind of far away from you and then you have a mirror close up. So then you can check to see that it looks good close up and it also looks good far away. So for a little extra brightness, because this is our bridal makeup after all, I'm going to take the Latte Lowlighter from Rodial Beauty. Besides this being a miracle product, this and the Banana Lowlighter, which I also have, these are amazing. One of the things I love about these is you can carry this in your purse, and if you need a little refresh at the end of the day, you can just kind of tap it under your eyes and it will just brighten your face up. It's not as heavy as a concealer, so it's not like you're putting extra concealer onto your face. It's almost like a topper, if that makes any sense, for your concealer, or even a topper for your makeup. So I have a little bit of the Latte Lowlighter right here. I'm just gonna take it on my finger actually, and I'm gonna tap it that. I'm not even taking it right up underneath my eye. Flawless under eyes. I have the Tower 28 Palisades Pink Pressed Powder. I'm going to use this first. Thinking about color correction, we have a little bit of yellow underneath with the Latte Lowlighter. This has a little bit of pink in it, hence the name Palisades Pink. So I want to use this on top so then we can get a little more of that natural brightness and color correction. And this is a kitten paw brush from Real Techniques. Get in, all the way down, and then I'm just gonna sweep it all the way up where I put the concealer. These powders are gorgeous. There's a lot of brands that have really stepped up their game as far as powders, both pressed and loose. I actually used this the other day on a bride for her trial, and it worked like a dream. So I'm just hitting the T-zone. Okay, I just want to do a little something with the under eye, and then we can move to the rest of the face, and then we're finally done. I know, I told you, it's a lot of steps, but bridal beauty is not achieved quickly. I'm sorry, especially if you want it to last. So we're going to go back in to the Ethereal Eyes palette, and I'm going to take this brush. Once again, it's the 233 from Smith. I'm just going to go into the shimmery brown, and I'm just going to lightly run it underneath just to give a little bit of definition, but it's still really soft. Then I want to go back in with the Tower 28 mascara and just hit those lower lashes. This isn't quite waterproof, unfortunately. It is a tubing formula. I have yet to find a really gorgeous brown mascara that's waterproof, unfortunately. And then I'm going to take this Delium pencil brush and go into the top shadow. I'm sorry this palette's so dirty, y'all. I work with this palette. It's so hard to keep it clean because the pigments are really, they're very finely milled. They move a lot. Going right in the inner corner. Just a little bit. I'm taking the 112 from Smith. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette. We're going to go into, I'm just going to go into all three actually. Just kind of mix them around. Tap it off and then just set the cheeks, set the bronzer, once again, across the nose. And then we're gonna go in with one of my favorite blushes of all time. This is Deep Throat from NARS. Oh, so I'm gonna tap in with the same brush that we used for the ambient lighting palette, tap it in, because I wanna go over the blush that we already did. Now thinking about layering, what this does, it's just helping us with longevity, making the look more multi-dimensional. I could go in with a powder highlighter, but because my hair is back, I feel like I can get away with a little bit of balmy shine on my cheeks because I'm not worrying about any of my hair getting in my face. So this is the Balm Shine from Violette. It's this beautiful kind of universal highlighter stick. I'm just taking it on my middle of my ring finger, and then I'm just gonna tap it on the top of my cheek. It helps to blur everything together. Do a little in the Cupid's bow. One of the ways I like to make my lip last longer and give you the truest color of what it looks like is to use a little bit of concealer on the lips just to cancel out any natural pink tones that are coming through. I'm gonna set it with a little bit of powder and take a little of the Makeup by Mario bronzing. And we're just gonna do a little contouring on the lip just to give it a little bit of shade. Then I'm taking the Tower 28 one liner in Fill Me In. These are so great. I'm really impressed with this formula. This is like the perfect kind of pale pink, perfect for a bridal color. So let's just put it on. Can't talk while I'm doing this. And I'm using the flat end, kind of create that line and fill in. Another thing I recommend is to fill your lips slightly in with the pencil. Just helps with longevity. But look at that, even that on its own is so pretty. And then I have one of the Chanel matte lipsticks. This is in light mauve. I actually used this on my wedding day. One of the reasons why is I wanted a pink, but I also wanted it to last a long time. And I reapplied my lips once after dinner. That was it. So it's very pigmented. So I'm just gonna take very lightly across my lips. Now, you could leave it like this, leave it matte because it's gorgeous and super soft. But if you wanted to up the ante just a little bit, I'd recommend a gloss. I love the Fenty Beauty glosses. This is in the shade Fussy. The formula is so nice. These and the Naturium glosses are two of my favorite glosses on the market. So I have a little bit on the back of my hand, grabbing the 304 brush from Smith. Just want to do a little. Just tap it. I know it's a lot of steps, I know, but you don't want to just swipe your lip gloss on because then you're going to get it all over your partner, all over anybody who you kiss on the cheek, and then it just becomes a big old mess. Now you remember how way back when I started this makeup with setting spray? Well, we're gonna end it with setting spray as well, but we're gonna bring out the big guns today because we want everything to be locked and loaded. I have the One Size Until Dawn aerosol spray. This is basically like hairspray for your face. This will make you sweat proof, humidity proof, and your makeup will last all day. Give it a good shake. And what you wanna do is close your eyes, inhale and hold, spray your face, let it out, because you don't want to inhale any of this. It's just not a pleasant smell. Ready? Okay. So here is the finished look. I absolutely love the way it turned out. I know it's a lot of steps, but trust me, if you're doing your own makeup and you take all these steps, your makeup will look flawless all day long. And don't forget that the most beautiful bridal look is the one that makes you feel like you. That is always my goal whenever I work with my brides. That was the goal that I wanted on my own wedding day, and that is what I wish for you. And remember to soak in every single moment and have the absolute best day. If you found this helpful, please give it a like. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe for more pro makeup content from me. I've got some good things coming down the pipeline for the summer, and I'm very excited to do more tutorials for all of you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week with a brand new video.